All right, we're back out here live outside Rigby Middle School and Rigby High School. We lost our connection a bit earlier. For those of you just tuning in, there has been a shooting here at the middle school. I want to show you the middle school is actually right through this fence. There was a shooting earlier. We know that 2 students have been shot and 1 custodian was shot. And those 3 people, we're told, they were not life-threatening injuries. They were shot by another student who has been taken into custody, and the situation is under control. Right now, the sheriff's office is bringing all of the students from here at the middle school over to the high school. If we walk over here, you can see there's lines of them here at the high school, and parents are being asked to come and pick up your students if you can get here. There's plenty of areas across the street where you can pick up your kids, and this is where everything unfolded earlier this morning at obviously a very big police presence. We have Idaho State Police here. We have the State Fire Marshal. We have the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office. We have the Rigby Police Department. Madison came down from Rexburg, the Rexburg Police Department. Just a horrific morning. And if there is any good news in all of this, it's that we're told that the 2 students who were shot and the custodian should be okay, that they were not life-threatening injuries. We do not know the name of the suspect. We do know that he was a student at the middle school, a male student, and that he came into the school this morning and shot 2 other students and a custodian, according to the sheriff's office, the sheriff himself, Sheriff Steve Anderson. Let me show you what's happening here. You can see that parents are showing up to pick up their kids as best they can. The kids are being shuttled back and forth between the middle school over to the high school. There are some buses here, and we'll just kind of show you the scene here. Outside Rigby Middle School, Rigby High School. The 3 people who were shot, the 3 injured people, were taken to the hospital by ambulance, by Idaho Falls ambulance. It looks like they're going to clear the way here for a bus to come in. And if you are watching and you have a student who goes to the middle school, you can come and pick them up. They are being picked up. If you look across the street there, Rhett's kind of panning around. You can see there's plenty of people from the community standing here wondering what is going on. We first received word around 9:30, between 9 and 9:30, that something was happening at Rigby Middle School. It wasn't clear on what it was, but within seconds, East Idaho News, me personally, started getting texts that there's a shooting at Rigby Middle School. There's a shooting at Rigby Middle School, and we knew as soon as we could get it confirmed from authorities that was true. That 2 students were shot and a custodian was shot, and they are expected to be okay. They're currently at the hospital. Now the investigation begins really into what caused this other student to do this, and what happens from here. So, a very busy day. Come on up here, why don't we? Come on up.
Exit once you pick up your kids. They're going to let the school buses in there for those that don't have parents yet. But my understanding is that back road, back behind, that will be your entrance in to go pick up your kids, okay? That's where they'll send the kids. I don't know that it's open yet, but it shouldn't be much longer. They're just trying to get confirmation from the school district employee. The sheriff's office hasn't received that notice yet.
So can we not just walk in and grab them?
So that you could probably walk in. At that point, this will be for the automobiles to exit out. So as soon as they give me the green light, we'll let you run right over there.
If you're walking, you have to take your ID. That's why I came back. I don't have my ID.
Yep.
I'm going for these people there. But I don't have my ID.
Can we ask you a few questions?
Sure.
How are you a parent? You have
Yes.
parents? How did you hear about this morning?
My niece actually called me. She had seen it on Facebook, and then my daughter texted me. She's a 7th grader here.
So she saw on Facebook that something was going on?
Yeah.
And what did your daughter text you?
She sent a group text to me and my husband, and she said, there's a real lockdown. I'm okay, and I love you both.
Oh my gosh. So what are you thinking as a mom?
My heart starts pounding. I get shaky and just start freaking out.
And is that when you came down here to the school?
Yes.
And have you just been waiting here?
Yes. I have talked to her.
And how's she doing?
She seems okay, but I mean, like, I don't know like what she knows. So
And what have you heard? Have you heard the reports
yes.
about the 2 students and the custodian? And
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you've seen this on the news in other parts of the country. Did you ever think it would happen
No.
here?
No, Rigby is such like a good little community, and never, like when I dropped her off to school this morning, I never imagined that this would happen.
And so you're waiting to go in, and I guess you go in and show your ID and you can bring her home?
I guess, yeah.
Any idea what's been going through her mind as she's been texting you?
No.
Ugh. Well, thank you for talking with us. We'll let you go get your daughter. What was your name?
Amanda.
Amanda. Wilkes?
Wells.
Wells. Thank you, Amanda, and our best to her too.
Right.
I'm sure every parent, I'm sure you know a lot of these parents too. They're in the same boat, waiting and wondering.
Yeah.
A hard morning. I'm sure you won't forget.
No.
Thank
And
you.
she's been doing online. I just put her in this last trimester. So.
Oh my gosh! So she's just back. And is it 6th, 7th, and 8th at the school, or 7th, 8th, 9th?
6th, 7th, and 8th.
6th, 7th, and 8th. So this is her second year at the school.
Mm-hmm.
And I would imagine too that generally this is like our local schools here. You know, everybody seems to get along. And
Yeah.
well, thank you. Thank you for talking with us, Amanda. Please give her our best too, and hopefully you can get in there and get her soon.
I hope so.
So that's Amanda, one of the parents here of a middle school student. You can see if we pan around here, there's several of these parents just waiting to pick up their kids. But several buses are pulling up here, and because the police have blocked the entrances, they're having to drive across the lawn to pick up these children and get them home. Age of the suspect. We do know he was a student at the middle school, which according to this mother, you know, that's around, I don't know, 12, 13, 14, 15, that age range. And the students who were inside the school sheltered in place. It was a lockdown situation. They couldn't leave where they were. And then within the past 20, 30 minutes or so, they've escorted all of the students over to the high school, and parents can now come and pick them up, which is what these parents are doing as they come to. You can see that there are community members just watching and waiting and wondering when these students will get out and when everything will be cleared. Now, outside this dental office, they are there, and I'd probably say 10 buses maybe by now, up to 10, have come in, and it looks like they're parking them along the side here between the schools and in a... So why don't we see if we can maybe talk to another parent. Hi, can we ask you some questions?
You can ask him.
Can we ask you some questions? I'm with East Idaho News. Do you guys have kids here?
I do.
So how did you hear about what happened this morning?
Well, I was parked over in Swan Valley in my semi, and I just got a thing on the text message saying that there was a lockdown at the school, and then later on I read on the Rigby, Idaho page that there was a shooting involved. So I just kind of put her in gear and just came this way.
Yeah, I don't know how
As quick
fast
as
those
I could,
semis
you know?
can go, but you probably went as fast as you could. So did you get a word from your child?
No, I've tried to text him and call him, and he don't answer. I don't know if it's protocol where they don't let them use their phone or what. But.
And I know a lot of people are using their phone, so it might be hard to get a
if
signal.
they're not letting kids use their phone, then you got a lot of parents out here that are probably worried about their kids in there.
So you haven't had any communication with him?
No.
And how old is he?
He's 8.
He's 11.
11.
He's
Sorry.
11. He grew up fast.
We have a lot of kids.
Yeah. So you're sitting in Swan Valley on the job. What are you
Got
thinking?
Lexi and him mixed up.
What are you thinking when you hear that there's a shooting at your kid's school?
Well, as a parent, it just it's one of them things. We live in Rigby. It's not something normal that goes on here. You hear people's cows getting out or something, sheep running down the middle of Main Street or something, but you don't hear about school shooting here very often at all. And so a lot of these parents around here, like myself, are probably just kind of going, what the heck? What's going on in our...
Take him home.
Yeah, he's going to go with me.
Yeah, not on the bus.
No.
Is
No.
this mom?
Yeah.
Are you mom?
I am.
I know you look great for the camera, so
Aw,
don't worry
thanks.
about that. How did you find out about what was happening at the school?
We got he actually, oh, sorry. He
Yours.
actually called me and I looked at my phone and I had a text from the school.
The school district sent you a text.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
what did it say?
It said there was a situation that all students were safe. And then I instantly just freaked out because I tried calling him and he tagged me in something on Facebook saying there was a shooting. And so, yeah, I freaked out and called everybody, tried to call him, tried to call the school, and couldn't get anything. So we just headed straight here.
And of course, rumors start to fly
Oh,
on social
absolutely.
media.
Yeah.
Did your mind go to the worst? Were you hoping for the best?
Absolutely, yeah. It did. I was at work and my coworker had to drive me here. My boss wouldn't let me go. I was having a panic attack. It was pretty rough.
And then when you hear that 2 students are shot and the
Yeah.
custodian,
Yeah.
I mean, at your kid's school.
Yeah, it's terrifying, and I'm sure he's terrified right now too. I hate that. I'm still freaking out because I haven't heard from him. I don't know what he's feeling and where he's at, so it's scary.
I imagine you watch the national news and see this happening elsewhere.
Oh, yeah,
And
absolutely. You don't think it's going to happen to you ever.
yeah,
But luckily they prepare for things like this and they know what to do.
yeah.
So
What do you plan to do with him once you see him? I guess throw your arms around him. And,
I'm going to take him home and snuggle.
yeah, I guess this is you hate to say this, but a learning opportunity or a way to talk about what's
Absolutely.
happening.
Yep, absolutely. I know that I called the South Fork and they're keeping it to where no other students hear about it, so they don't get freaked out or anything. And
You mean
so
other
luckily-
schools in the district?
Right, South Fork. Yeah, I called them because my 2 other kids go there, and they haven't let the word out or anything, which is good. I didn't want my other kids to know about it, but yeah, it's scary.
Well-
Never thought it would happen here.
We hope for the best for you and your son. We'll let you grab that.
Thank you
Thank you
very
for
much.
talking with
Yeah,
us.
thank you.
Just one of the many parents out here waiting for their child. You can see, let's walk over here a bit, Rhett. We've got about a dozen buses lined up here outside of the school. And in just a minute, all of the students will be released to go home. So what we have over here, it will just set up the shot for those of you just joining us. This is Rigby Middle School. Sometime this morning, I would imagine between 9 and 9:30, we don't have the exact time, a student walked into the school, or was inside the school, I should say, and pulled out a gun and shot 2 other students and a custodian. We don't know what happened at that point, whether the suspect was tackled or what happened at that moment, but we do know the school went into emergency lockdown mode. Everybody was locked down. The suspect has been taken into custody. The 3 people who were shot, the 2 students and the custodian, were rushed to the hospital. Fortunately, we are told they have non-life-threatening injuries. And so they are at the hospital right now. The school remained in lockdown while police secured the scene. And then the students were walked over across the parking lot to the high school, where maybe if we come up here a bit, Red, if you pan over here, you can see, I don't know how good the zoom is, but lined up in front of the high school, there's all of the kids, and they're under some canopies. There's an ambulance. It looks like a fire truck as well. They're on the right or the left of your screen, I should say. So those students have just been waiting there for the go-ahead to go home. Parents of students are told that they can come and pick up those kids, and that's what all of these parents are doing here. And then they've also brought in buses. So they're going to load up these buses, and they're going to let these students go home in just a minute. And I would say in the past, I guess the important thing to note is the scene is secure. The scene is secure. The suspect's in custody. Police say there is no longer a threat. And now they are processing the scene. I'm going to catch my breath here. In just the past few minutes, they've put up crime scene tape. I don't know if you can see that, Rhett. At this door. It looks like they've attached it. We might be too far, but from where we stand, they have put up crime scene tape. And it looks like some students and parents are, or it looks like these are just parents, are leaving the school right now. So they're able to leave, and looks like school will be released in just a moment here. We have seen parents here who are obviously distraught, completely understandable, in tears, wondering what's happening, looking for answers, trying to get their questions answered. And in just a minute here, I imagine we'll see some pretty tender reunions as these parents get to greet their kids after this horrible day here at Rigby Middle School. And it looks like there's a student who is pulling out with her mom. One of the mothers we spoke with just a few minutes ago said that she actually enrolled her child back into the classroom from virtual learning just a few weeks ago. And there may be many students in that same boat with third trimester starting, getting the kids back into the classroom and coming away from the at-home learning. I want to be sure I'm not in the way here. So parents, if you are watching, I would imagine by now you've heard the word. In case you are just tuning in or you're from out of state wondering what's going on here, if you have a kid who goes to the middle school in Rigby, you are welcome to come down to the high school and pick them up. And in just a minute, you'll need your ID. They're going to want to check your ID. And in just a minute, all of these parents waiting here will be able to pick up their children. And then they will be able to go home, and the buses should start clearing out. And it looks like there is some movement, but you've got fire trucks parked there in front of the school. You've got some ambulances that were here earlier. How you doing? We're on Facebook Live, so. You want to say anything?
No.
Okay.
No. I don't know if you know about that one.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, so.
Thank you. Right, why don't you show the scene? I'm going to talk with this gentleman. We
It's gonna go up tomorrow. I've tried to do that. Every time she does not. I've even gone to the manager. Nope. Oh, that's great. I appreciate the message.
Hey, Rat. Nathan, right? Austin. So we have another parent here. Austin, how did you hear about what happened today?
It's actually my son was in class, and their baseball team has a group text, and it texted just making sure all the boys were okay. One of the teammates is in the high school, and he saw it, didn't know anything was going on, and sent a screenshot to one of the parents, and they sent it out to all the parents of baseball. That's how we heard about it.
So were you at work? Or
Yeah, I was building all these just across the street.
You were building homes and you get this screenshot, and what do you think?
Oh crap! So we rushed over here as fast as we could. But
And what did it say? Did it say there was an actual shooting, or was it just there's a situation?
they said there's a shooting, that they tried getting in his classroom. The shots were fired outside in the hall of his classroom, but the teacher had been locked down, or doors were locked, and so they couldn't get into his classroom. But
Oh my gosh.
yeah,
How old's your boy?
8th grade.
8th grade. And have you heard from him since? Has he been able to text?
Yeah, I was actually up there first in line to get him out, but they wouldn't let me check him out without my ID. And I left my ID in the truck, so my wife switched places. She's up there getting him.
Oh, she's getting him now. How's he doing?
He's pretty shaken up, but
I can imagine.
yeah.
And what are you thinking here in Rigby, Idaho, this happening?
I grew up here. This doesn't happen here. It's not supposed to happen here.
Yeah. So you're hoping here that he'll be here in just a minute and take him home and hopefully
I hope so.
talk about the day.
I've got 5 kids, and one in high school, one there, and 2 more coming in middle school next year, so it's scary.
I guess it's fortunate that you were so close in a way, but
It's scary seeing it happen, like a text, and then seeing all the ambulances, fire truck, like everything. It's like, oh, it really hits home.
yeah, you watched it unfold. Well, thanks for talking with me. We're glad he's okay, and of course we're thinking about the people that were shot. And
Have you heard anything about the conditions of them?
we're hearing that 2 students were shot and a custodian, and that they're non-life-threatening injuries, and that the suspect was a student who's in custody. So we don't know his condition or
We've heard it was a 6th grader, a girl that was the shooter, but we don't know for sure.
a 6th grade girl. Okay,
We
that's
I
not
don't
confirmed. Yeah, we don't.
We don't know for sure, but I've heard from a couple people that it was a sixth grade, but I don't know.
Okay.
Some.
Well, we'll wait for the
I have no clue.
officials to send it out, and hopefully, is that your wife?
Nope. Not
Okay.
yet.
Well, thank you for chatting with me.
Hey, no problem.
Okay, and it looks like right now they're letting the parents go get their kids. So all parents, they've just released the parents to go pick up their kids. Let's head up there. Right? We're going to be real cautious on showing some of these kids. And we'll just kind of stay back by the fence. So in just a few minutes, these parents will be reunited with their kids. They are checking IDs here at the school. And once those IDs are shown, the kids can go home. A day that these kids won't forget, sadly, in a not a good way. The buses are lined up and ready to take the kids home. All of the middle school students have been brought over here to the high school, and it sounds like they are yelling the names of students as their parent shows up. And Rhett, if we pan over here, you can see they've taped off that middle school. That middle school is, I mean, even the vehicles are there. The faculty, staff cars are there. I think let's just stay here. So we're going to stay here and not get too close as these parents pick up their kids. You can see there is a line. There's a line of parents, a big line of parents here, and they keep coming. And when they get up to the front of the line, it appears that they show their ID and then they yell the name of their student, and then their student comes forward and is reunited with their parent. A couple hundred kids go to the school. I don't know the exact amount. You can see, though, just how close the middle school is, just right across the field. You know, I think just about a year ago, we did a Feel Good Friday segment inside that very school and surprised a student. And everybody says it. You never think it'll happen at your school. And then it did today in Rigby, Idaho. Again, let me recap on what we know. 2 students shot, 1 custodian shot, non-life-threatening injuries. They've been taken to the hospital. We know that the suspect, the shooter, was taken into custody. The shooter was a student at the school. They have not released further details about that student, but we do know that that student is in custody and police custody. Multiple agencies are here: the Rigby Police, the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office, the Madison County Sheriff's Office, the Rexburg Police, the ISP, Idaho State Police. They're all here. And this morning, as I was driving up here, I called multiple police sources, and you know it's not very good when none of them answer. Not that people should take my calls, but they were not answering, and the one that did, I could tell in his voice that there was great emotion about what had happened and what had transpired here today. Students, some students were able to text and communicate with their parents and fill them in on what was happening. One woman we spoke to just a few minutes ago said that her daughter texted her and said, "We're in a lockdown." I'm paraphrasing here. "We're in a lockdown. This is real. I love you." She sent that to her mom and dad, and then communication stopped for a time. Other parents weren't able to contact their kids because their kids didn't have their phones with them. But the district did send out a blast, an email and a text blast to the parents, and they were able to, get the word that there was a situation and that it was under control. And now, within the past 5 minutes, parents have been able to come here and pick up their kids. And the district brought in a dozen or so buses, and they're parked for all the students who can't get a lift home. In just a minute, they'll load up these buses, and you can see we have cars leaving with students inside those cars. And they're just so little. They're just so young. But they are leaving the school right now and going home. You can hear I don't know if you can hear from here, but we can hear the principal or somebody is yelling the names of the students as their parents show up. Let's be careful showing faces and stuff, but sadly the media has covered these shootings over and over. I've covered these shootings in other states, and we're going to be cautious and careful with who we talk to and who we interview, because obviously to process what happened this morning can be extremely painful. This is a tight-knit community. Everybody, if you're from Eastern Idaho, you know Rigby. I mean, all of our communities are tight-knit, but Rigby is tight-knit, and it's likely that the students knew this shooter if it was a fellow student, which we're being told it is. And no idea why, of course, no idea why today, why this happened. The police are going to be investigating that. Because the shooter is a juvenile, the information that comes out won't be as much as if the shooter was an adult. In adult cases, it's public records. You have access to those records, to those court documents. When it's a juvenile, a lot of those documents are sealed. And so I would imagine we will learn some bits and pieces over the coming days, but maybe not as fast as many of us hope. For now, I think it's important to focus on those surviving kids, though, the 2 surviving kids and the custodian, who we are told, thank goodness, are in good condition, at least not life-threatening condition.
People are asking the condition of the victims, you've said.
The condition of the victims, I'll repeat for those joining. There are 3 victims. We have 2 students and a custodian. All, according to the sheriff, have non-life-threatening injuries. They should be okay. As far as the condition of the suspect, we just know that the suspect is in custody. We don't know if the suspect was injured or how that suspect was taken into custody. We don't know how it all transpired. There are a lot of rumors out there. We've heard the same things. We've heard the same messages about who the shooter may have been or may not have been and what transpired in the school. We're just going with what we have confirmed, the facts. So hopefully, we'll be able to get you some definite details later. But the things we do know are that this morning, around 9 o'clock, 9:30, 3 people were shot inside Rigby Middle School, right over here. 2 students and a custodian. They have non-life-threatening injuries. They were rushed to the hospitals by ambulance, and that the shooter was taken into custody, and that there's the chief of police, Sam Tower, obviously, and there's I believe that's his wife. That's Kimber. She works with the Family Resource Center or some sort of Family Resource Center. And you have parents leaving the school with their kids. So those are the facts that we know. I see parents are still coming, so the word has gotten out that parents can come and pick up their kids, and one would imagine that the parents of the victims have been notified. So the parents have been notified, as well as the custodian's family.
Nate Sunderland, our managing editor, says that the victims are in stable condition.
Stable condition. So that's confirmed through our managing editor back in our newsroom, who's getting information and relaying it to us. The victims are in stable condition, which, for those not familiar with the jargon, you have fair condition, you have stable, you have serious and critical. and life-threatening. Life-threatening would obviously be what it describes. Critical means it's touch and go. Serious, obviously you can see what that means. And then you have stable and fair. So out of all the conditions to have, those are the ones you want. Eric, do you have some information? They were taken to ERMAC, Eastern Idaho Regional Medical Center. So that's where they are. Don't go to the hospital and try to see them if you know who they are. But that's where they're at. So still several students here. Everybody keeping in good order, though. And they are lined up and ready to take those kids home. And it's interesting to watch their faces, the faces of these parents and the faces of these kids. And even if these kids weren't anywhere near that shooting inside the school, I can't imagine the aftermath of remembering this day and recalling what happened. You got him? Good. This is Austin we spoke with earlier. He's been reunited with his son there. And you can see his wife is clutching onto her boy. So I don't know how well you can hear, but what happens from here? That's the next question. Well, all of these students right now are waiting, and their parents are in a line. And the administrator, whomever, the teacher, is yelling out their names, and then the students are released to go home. And now I don't see any kids with backpacks, so it's likely that they left everything in their classrooms and just left. Just took off and came here, and so all of their belongings are likely still in the school, which is now a crime scene. So it's unknown when they'll be able to pull those things out of the school, take their backpacks home, their lunch boxes, whatever's in there. But I have not seen any kids with backpacks. Have you guys? So it's likely they just said, leave all your belongings and get out. And then they brought them over here to the high school. And so they will go home today. School, I don't know if school is normally held on Fridays in Rigby, but I do know that it likely will not be happening tomorrow at the middle school or even next week because they have to process this scene. That is that is not confirmed at this moment, but I would imagine there will be no school tomorrow, and that might continue into next week. And here is the chief of police again. Sam Tower, Chief Tower. I can't imagine a more nightmarish situation for a chief of police to deal with than a school shooting. And sadly, it has happened here in Eastern Idaho. I don't know the stats on this, but I can tell you that in the 6 years since I've been back, we haven't covered a school shooting. And in the 3 years that I was here between 2006 and 2009, there were no school shootings. So I might be able to say this is the first one that our area has seen where a student has been shot. I'm sure that if I'm wrong, you'll let me know, but we'll do some research on that. As far as I know, I cannot recall a school shooting in Eastern Idaho until today. And look at you've got parents holding on to their kids' hands and obviously on the phone. And more are showing up. We spoke with a guy earlier who's a truck driver who was in Swan Valley, and he got the message on his phone. And I don't know if you can imagine getting that message. And he says that he hauled it. He got in a semi and drove from Swan Valley here to be here to pick up his kid. And they had not heard from him at all today because of communication issues. And so he was hopeful. He was here with his wife, and they're now in that line. Hopefully we'll be able to see them as they come out.
Hundreds and hundreds of comments of people expressing their support and prayers and well wishes to the families and people involved in the students. Yeah,
I'm here with Rhett. Rhett, did you go to the middle school?
I did not.
Okay, but you went to the high school here.
I did.
Rhett is from Rigby, so here. Can we turn this around for a minute?
Yeah.
You take the mic and tell me This is your hometown. I mean, what are you thinking? I'm going to go this way to get you.
In the whole time I've lived in Rigby, nothing like this has ever happened. So this is a first for everybody. And as Nate was saying earlier, it's a very tight-knit community, very small community. People know each other very well. And so for something like this to happen, I mean, this is big for Rigby, unfortunately. And it's one of those things that people are going to remember, not in a good way, as Nate said earlier. So, yeah, very not a good day for people here in Rigby.
Now, you got here before I did, around the same time. It was pretty new. What did you see when you drove up?
As I approached, they had the entrances to the middle school are blocked off. They're still blocked off. But I saw obviously oncoming police cars, and I saw two ambulances with, people with Central Fire District were leaving as I was arriving. And that was about an hour ago, and, everyone has been here just waiting to pick up their kids, and everything's unfolded since then.
Yeah. And you saw all the parents waiting across the street.
Yeah.
Kind of give us a layout of the school compared to the high school.
So, yeah, the middle school over here has, I believe, is it 3 or 4 hallways, classrooms on both sides of each hallway. There's probably several hundred students, I would imagine, that go to that school. And then this new high school, several years ago, they built it, and the layout's much different. It's got 3 levels, I believe, 2 or 3 levels. So the middle school is a 1-story building, and this high school has multiple levels.
And parents are there, and it's great. Thanks, Rhett. So from here, I would imagine in the next hour or so, these parents will continue to reunite with their kids. It looks like there's some sort of text message system going out from the district to the parents, letting them know to come here, and they're still showing up. Many are parking along the street and walking up the field and being released one by one, and then whomever is left, the district has brought in buses, I would imagine, just to be safe, just to get those kids home. It's unsure right now what's happening with students inside the high school. I would imagine they're continuing their day as usual, although it is lunch hour, and I know a lot of them leave for lunch. And so I'm not sure. I would imagine today they're not letting them go home, and they need to stay here at the school. I can tell you coming in that multiple on Highway 20, driving up from Idaho Falls to Rigby, multiple ISP troopers just going by, lights and sirens, and ambulances too. And when I pulled into Rigby, they passed right by me to get down here to the school. And this was a good 20 to 30 minutes after we received the initial reports that there had been a shooting. So that's always a little concerning when you see first responders still responding to the school after the fact. But if there can be any good news out of all of this, it's that the 3 people who were shot are in stable condition, and that their injuries are not life-threatening, and that the shooter is in custody, and that the scene is controlled, and that right now the investigation begins into what caused this to happen today at Rigby Middle School. School gets out in, 3-4 weeks, so it's the end of the school year. Rigby did, from the beginning of the year, have in-person classes. There was the option to do virtual if you wanted, though, and many students did virtual. We spoke with a mother an hour or so ago who said that she just sent her daughter back to the school for virtual learning, and then this happened just days after she came back. So
Nate Sunderland, our managing editor, just sent us a message from the governor, Governor Brad Little, expressing his prayers and support for those involved in this shooting today. And I'm sure you'll be seeing the full statement in a later report at eastidahonews.com with the full statement. But again, Governor Brad Little expressing his condolences, sympathies, prayers for those involved in the shooting today.
Yeah, I would imagine too. You'll be hearing from other elected leaders. The mayor of Rigby, I don't know if he's released a statement yet. He's probably here somewhere on the scene. In fact, that might be him over there. That kind of looks like him. I'm not sure though, but we'll work to get a hold of him. In fact, why don't we try to get a hold of him? We'll try to get a hold of the mayor, and we don't want to pull him away from what's happening right now. But kids are slowly the crowd is thinning out there at the school in front of the high school. Just stay out there for a minute, right? We'd love to do an interview with him. Law enforcement agencies and schools across the country train for these type of situations all the time, it seems. There's school shooting drills all the time. Students train for these. The alert goes over the loudspeaker and they know to shelter in place and they lock down the school, and sadly there are too many lockdowns that happen. Most, well, the vast majority don't result in this, but this was no drill today. Sometime between 9 and 9:30, a student shot 2 other students and shot a custodian inside Rigby Middle School. Those 3 victims were taken to Ermac, where they are in stable condition. The suspect was placed into custody and is now being interviewed by detectives or being dealt with by the police. And the school has turned into a crime scene. It looks like more students are being released from the middle school. It's possible they could have been in the seminary building, right? Is the seminary building on that side?
That's right.
So these kids could have been in seminary. Okay, they were in the portable trailers. Eric tells me they were in the portables. So there's portable trailers outside the school here. 3 or 4, 5 or 6 of them. And they've probably just been sheltered, locked inside their portables until this moment. And I would say that would be at least 2 hours. So those students would have been in those portables for 2.5 hours waiting for word, I would imagine, to see what was going on out here, and they've just been released. And they might be releasing them one portable at a time. Yeah, it looks like there is a heavy police presence over on the other side. And here we have more students being released from another portable. Eric, get a shot of Hagen there. Is that Hagen? Okay, if you're just tuning in, let me give you a recap of what we know. Distraught students and parents are picking up their kids outside of Rigby High School, where earlier this morning next door at the middle school there was a shooting. And 2 students were shot, a custodian was shot, a suspect was taken into custody. The school has been turned into a crime scene. These students are now going home, being reunited with their parents. They don't have backpacks, they don't have their lunch boxes, anything they brought with them inside the school, unless it's on their person, is inside that school from what we can observe. The students were lined up in front of the high school this morning, and their parents were given alerts to come and pick up their kids once the situation was contained, and that's what happened. That is what happening now. So that's what we know right now, and that's what we're waiting for some official information. The official information we do have is that we know about the 3 who were shot, and we know that there are upset, obviously very upset parents and kids being reunited today here outside the school. All right, if you're tuning in, Eric, tell me what you just heard from an official here.
Yeah, so I just heard from Kim Tower, who's with the Upper Valley Child Advocacy Center here in Rigby on Yellowstone. People are asking how they can help, and these students have been out here for several hours. It's warming up, and they're asking for snacks and water. Now, the scene's really congested, and they aren't letting people back here, but what you can do if you have bottled water, snacks, anything like that, you can take it to the Advocacy Center on Yellowstone here in Rigby, and investigators will make sure it gets here to the students. Again, don't bring it here to the school, but take it over to the Advocacy Center, and that is how you can help right now.
Okay, that's good to know. So Kimber just walked over with 3 boxes of fruit snacks and bottled water. Stay close, Eric, again. So if you want to help and you're anywhere near Rigby and can get to the Advocacy Center within the next 10 or 15 minutes, or anytime this morning, I guess, they're asking for bottled water, snacks, anything that they can give these kids who have been waiting out here. They obviously haven't had lunch. I don't know if it's lunchtime yet, but they just need some food, some snacks to get these kids through the next few hours. So if you're watching and you can help, the Advocacy Center, is that what it's called? The
Upper Valley Child Advocacy Center here in Rigby.
Okay, in Rigby on Yellowstone. It's just down the street. Don't bring it here to the middle school or the high school because it's too congested. There's parents everywhere. Take it there, and they'll be sure to get those food and the food and drink into the hands of the kids. If all they have is what I see, there's not a lot. There's like 3 boxes of fruit snacks and a case of water, and that's it. So it sounds like she said that's the biggest thing people can do.
That's the biggest thing people can do to now. And something I noticed as you come in to the school, there's a sign that says "In this together," and that's what they're asking is people that are wanting to help. Just bring the water and snacks. You don't have to go into the Advocacy Center. Just leave it on the curb.
You got him.
Yeah, we found it.
Oh, good.
Another parent
Have a good day
reunited there. But just bring the food over to the Advocacy Center on Yellowstone. Drop it off on the curb, and they'll bring it over here quick. It's just a couple minutes away, and that's the best way to help them. Because, again, there's hundreds of students here that they are working to get out of the school. Some have just left the portables, so it's been a long morning for a lot of these kids.
All right, thank you, Eric. Good update. The truck driver who we spoke with earlier there, who was in Swan Valley when he got word about this shooting and rushed down here to Rigby, he's just been reunited with his son. And that's him and his wife, and I believe that was her coworker because the wife was a little too distraught to drive, understandably. And they come and they picked him up, and he is headed home. So, excuse me, this continues to happen here outside of Rigby High School. I just saw someone chime in and say, what happened? Well, there was a shooting today at Rigby Middle School between 9 and 9:30, and a student, from what we're being told, shot 2 other kids and a custodian. The student, excuse me, I'm getting choked up here. The student is in custody, the shooter, and the other 2 students with the custodian were taken to Eastern Idaho Regional Medical Center where they are in stable condition. And their names have not been released. None of their names have been released. I would imagine that will come at another date, maybe later today or tomorrow. Right now, the focus is getting all of the kids inside the school home safe, and that's why their parents are here picking them up. They brought in a bunch of buses, I believe, just for backup. They might not need them. I would imagine most parents are here and picking up their kids. What we just heard from the, how you doing? Good. Do you have a student here?
No, I'm one of the drivers.
Oh, okay. What we just heard from the mom, from one of the mothers on the phone is, I was so scared, and I think that gives the feeling of what's happening here outside of Rigby Middle School today. A quick update if you want to help, and you can do this in the next hour or so. They're asking for food and water. When I say food, I mean snacks, packaged chips or fruit snacks or, candy bars, whatever you can. They need food and water for the kids who have had a horrible traumatic morning. And if you can bring it to the Advocacy Center on Yellowstone in Rigby, they want to they want you to drop it off there. They want you to bring it there if you can in the next little bit, and from there they will make sure that it gets distributed to the kids. And once they have that, they can get some nourishment inside of the children. Let's kind of show the school over here, Rhett. We're at a distance, and we're not going to go too close, but why don't we walk across the street here? So this is the school, the back of the school, which is now surrounded by crime scene tape. And this is where the portables are. We'll stay here. It looks like, so this is the school over here. And then here's the portables. This is the back of the school. There are probably a dozen or so detectives behind the school from multiple jurisdictions, actually maybe 2 dozen. There's a lot of them. I see Rigby Police, I see State Police, Jefferson County Sheriff's Office. I see them back there. And then of course we have this deputy who is standing guard here, making sure nobody enters the scene. And there are, behind the tennis courts here, several students are out walking with their parents, it looks like. And maybe they live on the other side or their parents parked over there, but it looks like they're able to, the parents are picking up their kids and they're walking behind the tennis courts and getting in the back there of the school. And
just to provide some historical context, we were talking earlier about we don't know if a shooting in Rigby has ever happened. Nate Sunderland, our managing editor, just relayed a message to us that there was a situation in 1989. We don't know very many of the details, but that was the last time something like this happened in Rigby.
wow, 1989. And Nate, I'm assuming that was at a school, because we didn't know if that if this had happened in the past. But man, 1989, what is that? 30 years ago?
Yeah.
30 years ago that this last happened that we know of. And I can't recall any other incidents at any other eastern Idaho schools. So that kind of gives you the scene, sets up the scene here. If you've never been to Rigby, you enter the city limits and you go west. And what is this road? Is this Main Street, Rhett?
No, this is Highway 48.
Highway 48. So it's Highway 48, you go west, and you run into the high school on the left and the middle school, which is right next to it. And it's about a mile off the freeway, off Highway 20. And so it's kind of on the outskirts of Rigby. And the schools are close together, and so they're able to share services and things like that. And obviously they were able to utilize each other today as the students were brought over here to the high school, and there they stand. Can you say that on camera? All right, Eric's here. You can still show the scene, but do you want to tell us what you've learned?
Yeah, so over here on the scene right now behind us here in this little parking lot area between the school and these portables, they have what's known widely as a Pharos camera. It takes scans of the scene. They can 3D model them from those pictures, and there's also several evidence markers leading from the trailer over to the inside of the school here outside, and that investigators are heavily focused over here on this area outside the school.
Yeah, I can see from here. I don't think the camera will pick it up. There's several detectives with cameras. So the focus of the investigation right now is behind the school, near the portables area. And so one would assume that this shooter was back here, at one point at least, or they're retracing steps. That's as far as I'll go on any sort of guessing about what's happening here, but the detectives definitely are focused on the rear of the school at this moment, and I would imagine there are some inside the building too, but there is a heavy group of them just behind where our camera is that are working, and they do have a camera set up there in the parking lot, so it's obviously taking its images. And that is a large group of people being released one by one. The students are being released one by one as the parents show up, and then they get to go home. And we're going on, well, this situation has been active for two and a half hours, and that's what's happening here at Rigby High School. So I think we might take a break here, and once we learn something new, we'll log back on here. We'll be sure to go live. If you haven't downloaded the East Idaho News app, that's how you can get your breaking news alerts as things happen. You can also follow us on Facebook. If you're watching, you're obviously with us on Facebook. I'm gonna go ask one quick question before we log off. I'm hoping to get one more interview. I'm gonna see if we can get that. So I'll be right back. Rhett, you stay here.
Students are coming out of the portables. Most of the students are lined up over here in front of the high school, but there were a few students still inside the portables. The portables are these buildings outside of the middle school. There were some students that were sheltered in place in there. They have recently been taken out of there, and I don't know if you can see in the distance there are some officers, investigators focused in that area, conducting an investigation on the shooting to try and get more details about exactly what happened. As we've reported earlier, the victims, there were 2 students that were shot and 1 adult custodian at the school. The victims are in stable condition. We have got that information confirmed. All of the victims are at Eastern Idaho Regional Medical Center in Idaho Falls, reportedly doing well. This is on the east side of the middle school in Rigby. We've got some police officers just across the road there. And we obviously will have more information, I'm sure, about what exactly happened in future reports at eastidahonews.com, so you can watch our website throughout the day for the latest information. All we know right now is that there were 2 students that were shot, as well as 1 adult custodian. They currently are at Eastern Idaho Regional Medical Center in Idaho Falls, reportedly in stable condition. Nate Eaton behind me is trying to get one last interview before we sign off on our live coverage here today. But you can get all the latest information. No doubt there will be more information coming at eastidahonews.com, so you can download our app, visit our website throughout the day, and probably in the coming days and weeks as well, more information will be released and become available to the public. Anything to add? Earlier, Eric Grossarth, our reporter, told us Upper Valley Child Advocacy Center in Rigby was asking, many of you were asking how you can help. If there's anything you can do to help the kids and those who are inside the building, you can. Upper Valley Child Advocacy Center in Rigby on Yellowstone is asking for snacks and bottled water for the kids. Just things that are packaged that you can get at the store. If you have any of those things on hand and would like to help, you can take those to the Upper Valley Child Advocacy Center. Don't come here. The roads are blocked off, a lot of congestion. They're not letting people in with their vehicles, but if you would like to help, that is one thing you can do. Take bottled water, snacks, beverages, things of that nature to Upper Valley Child Advocacy Center in Rigby on Yellowstone. Nate, as we wrap up our live coverage, is there anything new to add? Anything else to add?
No, nothing new. We will come back on live as we're going to take a little break here and try to gather some more facts and information. It might be a few hours. The good news that we can report is that the 3 people who were shot are in stable condition at Ermac, 2 students and a custodian. The suspect is in custody. The students are now free to go home. Just speaking with a bus driver a minute ago, he was working in the shop, and he got word that to get down here right away with a bus and to be on standby in case there's students that need to get on those buses. And so they're waiting to load up any student they can on the bus to take them home if their parents don't come and claim them here outside of the school. So parents continue to show up. You can help by taking bottled water and maybe some soft drinks or some food, packaged foods, to the Family Resource Center on Yellowstone in Rigby. And they will make sure that the kids here get that food. The kids are being dismissed one at a time. Once their parents show some ID, they yell out the student's name, and then they're free to go. And they're going home without their books, without their laptops or their Chromebooks or whatever they have, without their backpacks even. Those are all still in the school. They're sending them home now, and they are on their way. So we're going to sign off for now. I'm Nate Eaton reporting live outside Rigby High School. We'll stay with eastidahonews.com all day for the latest.